Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. For those of you who have followed me, you know that this is my journey as I try different generative AI tools and see how I can apply them to my business and my personal life, just to see how I can, make life easier by using some of these AI tools that are out there. In this particular video, I am going to walk you through how I created a tenant screening and appointment scheduling agent for Section 8 tenant screening specifically. So I have rental properties and I rent to mostly Section 8 tenants. For those folks who are not familiar with the Section 8 program, it is a government-backed program that helps low-income families afford housing. So the way the program works, the family gets a voucher for a certain dollar amount. There's also restrictions on the number of bedrooms that need to be in the property when a potential tenant comes in to look at the property. So they get a voucher, it tells them the dollar amount and also tells them the minimum amount of bedrooms that need to be in the unit based on their family size. So a lot of times when I post a property for rent, I have a lot of tenants reach out because they want to know if they can come and see the property. They may have questions about the property before they come out to see it. So I created this scheduling agent or screening agent just to save myself some time, right? So I was texting folks back, calling, returning voicemails, and things like that. Just extra stuff that if I don't have to do it, great. This will be great. So the way the tenant screening goes is that a potential tenant will see my property listed on the Section 8 website and they will be interested in renting it out. So they'll reach out to the agent. The agent will then in turn ask some questions just to make sure that the tenant does in fact qualify for the property they want to see. And then the agent will go, if they do qualify, go ahead and schedule an appointment for the tenant to come out and see. So in this video, I'm just gonna walk through kind of what I did and what tools I used to create this agent. Most of the tools that I used were free. The initial usage on some of these are free, or if you want to do more complex things with some of the software, of course, you have to pay for it. So this is just me walking you through what I did to create this agent. So I used a software called Generative to build the tenant screening app. This software builds on top of the OpenAI platform. So OpenAI is the company that is behind ChatGPT. So folks are familiar with ChatGPT. OpenAI is the company that created it. Well, you can build custom things on AI as well. But with this agentive software, you can build these chatbots and actually deploy them to things like WhatsApp, which is what I use. You can also deploy them to a couple other things that I'll show later in the video. So I went to Agentive and, just went in here and created, when you go to the website and create an account, put your information in there. This right here is something big that you'll need to be able to build an agent with this Agentive software. It's called an API key. So you'll have to go to OpenAI to get the API key to put in the system to be able to set up your account. And I'll show you that in a second on OpenAI's platform. They also have where you can put in a payment method. As you can see, I haven't put in a payment method because I've just been using the free usage. So right now I'm at like 40 out of 200 free messages this month. So I'm using a lot of these free tools that they have available. There are a couple things that I've had to pay for, a couple of tools that I've had to pay for. This just isn't one just yet. But if I continue to use it and more usage, then I'll have to come in here and put in a payment method and to be able to go past the free usage limits. So that is the platform. Again, you come in here, you set it up, and then you can create new agent. Just before I forget, so you go to OpenAI's platform to create a secret key or get an API key for the agentive software. So as you can see, I only have the one key so far that I'm using in that agentive software. This is the only agent that I've created so far. So yeah, so again, you go to the OpenAI platform, you'll have to sign in. You just sign in using your email account. That's what I did. Your Google account, you can, or you can just set up a profile and then you ask for an API key. Now, with the OpenAI platform, you do have to put in a credit card or method of payment in here because they do charge you through OpenAI for using the text feature in the agentive software. So it says there's a minimum balance that you need to put in here. I think you need to put at least $5 on here. I actually put $10, and I tested a lot of different chats. And as you can see, I've already used at least 40. I think I've used more than that, and it's only cost me 9 cents. So it's not expensive. You just have to go in and put in the credit card information to actually pay for using the API key on the Agentive platform. So you can also set up usage limits and things like that in here. So if you don't want it to go over a certain amount per month or whatever limit you want to do, you can shut it off. Also, you can put in here, as you can see, that if it goes below a certain balance, you can make sure that it automatically adds. I didn't set that up. Oh, I guess I did set it up. So I guess I did set that up. Sorry. So that if it goes below $5, it'll go up to $10. I figure like even if it's $10 a month, that's not a lot if you're going to be using a chatbot often, depending on what you may create a chatbot for. For me, $10 a month is more than enough. So again, that's the only thing that you'll have to pay for with this initial bill is the OpenAI key, and it's not expensive, as you can see. Like I said, I've only spent 9 cents so far. So once you go back to the Agentive software, I've already created my Section 8 tenant screening thing. So I'll just go in here and kind of show you how it works. So you'll come in here and like with any of the generative AI tools that we've been using or I've been using, you have to have a prompt. So you have to have a really good detailed prompt that you put in here. This particular software also allows you to put in like a knowledge base. I didn't use this. I didn't need to put in a knowledge base. What I built here was pretty basic, a pretty basic agent. So I didn't need to put in a knowledge base. But I guess if I wanted to put something in, I may have put a FAQ from the Section 8 website for tenants, something that'll help the agent to answer tenant questions pertaining to like maybe Section 8 rules and all that. For this particular agent, I don't need that functionality because tenants aren't going to be asking me questions about how the Section 8 program works. They should already know. And if not, they can always go to the website. But at this point, if you have your voucher, you already know how the program works. So you don't need that. So I didn't put in a knowledge base. They also have here where you can put in tools. Again, I didn't do that. Pretty basic agent. I just put in a really good prompt to get it set up. I did use ChatGPT to help me create a prompt. I put in here inside ChatGPT, I put in here what I wanted, what I was using it for, and then ChatGPT helped me to generate a prompt. So that's something that I have done with a lot of the tools that I use. I'll go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to help me put in a prompt or tell ChatGPT what I'm trying to do and what software I'm using. Sometimes that helps and it'll help me create a prompt that I then go in and put into whatever generative AI software I'm using. So I'll put the prompt in here and then you can go ahead after you put your prompt in, you'll click publish. And then once you click publish, then you can go in and test the agent out. So for me, if I'm in here and I'm just testing, I'm pretending to be a tenant, you can see how the chatbot will respond to me. Okay, so once you have your prompt in there and you want to go ahead and you can click publish, and then that way you can actually test out the agent's functionality right here in the Agentive software before you make this, live on WhatsApp. So before you deploy it to WhatsApp, you can actually test it out. And for me, this was a good feature because I was able to test it out and then it made me think, oh, wait, I forgot something. This is another question I should ask, or I should add this into my prompts just to kind of fine tune it and tweak things in this software. Now I can go in here and just kind of test. Hi, I'm interested in the property. Sometimes when I was testing it out, I also wanted to kind of test with different ways of tenant speaking just to make sure that the chatbot would in fact understand the tenant and be able to respond appropriately. So kind of just testing like if I don't have the right punctuation or if I misspell a word, will it still answer the question correctly? And so far it has. So once you say that, there is a slight delay. I think I have like a 5-second delay for the response. So if you don't want it to feel like they're actually talking to a chat bot, you want it to maybe feel more like they're talking to a human. Usually when you're chatting or texting with humans, it's not always going to be an instantaneous response. I just set it up for 5-second response. You can change how long or how short you want the response time to be for the chatbot within the software. So I said, I'm interested in the property. So now the chatbot is going to go in and ask the questions that I needed to ask to screen and make sure that the tenant does in fact qualify for the property they want to rent. So they're asking like, do you have a Section 8 voucher? Sometimes tenants on the website don't necessarily have a Section 8 voucher. They'll just see a property on the website and then reach out and want to be like a cash pay tenant, which is fine. But I typically prefer Section 8 tenants. I want to kind of weed it out right now and just say, hey, only Section 8 tenants. So yes, I have a Section 8 voucher. Now it's going to go through and just ask a couple more questions just to make sure that the person again qualifies. So for this property, I think the minimum bedroom requirement on the voucher should be 3 bedrooms. So I'm going to put 3 bedrooms. And then my voucher is for, I can't remember what the minimum amount that I put in here for this one. I'm just going to put 2,000 because I know it's way less than that. So I'm going to say my voucher is for $2,000. So the chatbot is thinking. And then it also asks, well, how much is your portion of the rent? For this, we're just going to say that maybe the family portion is 10%. So we'll just say it's $200. And that's not really important every time, but I just thought I would include that because you do want to know how much the tenant portion is, at least for me in my experience. If tenants have a really high portion, it may be a little harder for them to come up with the rent every month. So I kind of just do look at that because, say, for instance, if the voucher is for $2,000 and the tenant portion is $1,500 a month, first of all, it's like maybe you don't really need the program, but that's not for me to decide. But that's almost like having a cash paying tenant, right? So now you're responsible for $1,500 a month, but you qualify for this program. I don't know. For me, sometimes it just may seem like it may be a little harder for tenants with higher portions to come up with the rent every month. So I did ask that question just to kind of get a feel for what the family obligation would be. Once I put that in there, the chatbot told the tenant what scheduling times they have available. So I was able to put the days and times that I will be available to show this property. So the chatbot said, hey, Friday or Saturday between these times, when are you available? And also the chatbot asked for the tenant's name. So that's something that I had to tweak in here because initially I didn't have that in there. And I was just like, oh, wait, it would be good to know what the tenant's name is that I'm scheduling the appointment with. So I'm going to say, can I see the property Friday at 2? My name is Mary. They've scheduled the appointment. It also says, like, if you have any questions or you need to change anything before the appointment, just feel free to reach out. Have a great day. So that's all the functionality that I really need. I just need the chatbot to be able to screen to make sure the tenant is eligible for whatever property is listed, and then to schedule the appointment based on the times and days that I put in the system to say that this is when the property is available to see. This was a very simple build. One thing that I did add here in the prompt too is like you can set the tone. So for this particular prompt, I set the tone to be familiar but professional, right? I don't know these people, so I want to be professional, but I don't want it to sound like robotic. Just we're kind of familiar, but still professional. That's the tone I decided to set for my agent. I think it came across pretty well during the chat example here. Once you're satisfied with how the agent is responding, you could go ahead and click this button, deploy, and then it'll ask you where you want it to deploy. And again, I did it in WhatsApp. You can do it in Instagram, Messenger, Voice Flow, Telegram, Discord. I just use WhatsApp. So that's where my agent is deployed. And once you go on there, then you can go into WhatsApp and see the conversation. I'm having some issues with the WhatsApp mobile app. I need to figure out what's going on, but I can't come into my Meta Business Suite. And that's another thing to point out too, is that you have to have a business account with WhatsApp to be able to use this agentive tool, to be able to create the agent. You have to have a WhatsApp business account, and you can't tie it to a phone number that already exists in WhatsApp. I didn't have a WhatsApp. I just needed to create a business account and then tie it to that. I had to do a Meta Business Suite. So that's what this is. I can come in here and I can see whatever conversations were going on within the WhatsApp when the tenant asks questions. It looks like you have a limit of 250 conversations per day, which is great for me because for the number of units that I have empty at any given time, this is more than enough. I don't have a lot of vacancies in my properties. So this will be more than enough to be able to use that free tool. Once I go over that amount, then, I have to look at how much it costs and being able to set up payment methods. As you can see, I don't have a payment method in here yet because I don't need to set that up yet. I'm okay with just using the free version for now. I hope this helped. I created this basic tenant screening and appointment scheduling agent. I'm still excited about learning all these generative AI tools. I'm excited about the next thing that I'm going to show or the next thing that I'm going to try to do. And I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.